Novak Djokovic has short two-word response for Eileen Gu's speech. Tennis icon Novak Djokovic has reacted to Eileen Gu's powerful message at the Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina. The Chinese representative came out on top of the games, earning medals in all the freestyle skiing events that she participated in, making her the most decorated freestyle skier, with 6 medals across 2 Olympics. Gu had previously addressed how tough it is to remain at the top of her discipline, saying that her biggest asset was the trust she had in herself to compete at a high level. She said she approached each of her 3 events like a 100-meter sprint, and how her confidence motivated her. The difficulty of competing in 3 events, making finals in 3 events, she said. I had to compete 6 times. I kind of liken it to a marathon, with the pace of a 100-meter dash. I took a big risk in trusting myself, and I'm glad that I did. During her final press conference at the Games, a reporter tried to gain insight into her preparations, with the 22-year-old offering a profound thought, something which Djokovic even agreed with. The power of sport is unparalleled because it is evidence over affirmation. Because you don't tell yourself, "Oh, I can handle the pressure. I'm so great," Gu told reporters. You do it time and again. Sports are really honest because you can't lie to yourself. You know when you stayed late and other people weren't there. You know when you showed up early and other people weren't there. You know when you gave 100% in training, day in and day out. 4 months. It's not about at the last second. I tell myself a chip a little line and call it a day. It's the fact that I look back on quite literally years, like decades of hard work, of pouring my heart and soul into this sport. And so yeah, it's trusting myself and it's building that trust every day. Many people spoke of their admiration for Gu following her comments, with the biggest compliment coming from Djokovic, who shared a post of the speech on his Instagram story with the caption, "Well said," followed by raising hands and applause emojis. Gu also reposted Djokovic's response on her own IG story with a heart and high-five emojis. The 22-year-old, who had previously represented the United States in the Games, achieved a silver medal in slopestyle and big air, as well as achieving her 2nd consecutive gold medal in the halfpipe. Gu is also said to be growing the sport after she cited a Chinese study which stated that more than 300 million people in China have tried snow sports since she achieved her first 3 Olympic medals. In a world where speeches stretch for pages and captions compete for attention, sometimes the most powerful statement is the shortest one. When Eileen Gu delivered her poised, thoughtful speech, led with themes of identity, discipline, and global unity, she spoke with the clarity of someone who understands both the weight of expectation and the privilege of influence. Cameras flashed. Applause rippled. Social media hummed. It was the kind of moment built for headlines. And then Novak Djokovic responded. 2 words. That was all. Yet somehow, it was enough. The power of brevity. In elite sport, athletes are often measured in numbers, Grand Slam titles, podium finishes, world rankings, endorsement deals. But greatness is rarely just statistical. It lives in moments, small, human flashes that reveal character. Eileen Gu's speech was expansive. She spoke about navigating cultures, about representing more than one flag yet staying true to a singular self. She discussed the discipline behind the glamour, the unseen hours behind the medals. She articulated what many young athletes feel but struggle to express, the pressure to perform not just for oneself, but for communities, nations, and generations watching. Her words carried Polish, but also sincerity. It wasn't just a speech. It was a declaration of identity. And Djokovic, a man who has lived inside pressure for nearly 2 decades, replied with 2 words that quietly acknowledged everything she had said. Respect. Inspiring. That was it. No long commentary. No attempt to reframe the moment. No diversion to himself. Just recognition. When champions recognize champions, there is something profound about acknowledgement between elite athletes. They understand the invisible battles, the injuries concealed behind smiles, the criticism masked by trophies, the mental strain disguised as composure. Djokovic's career has been defined by resilience. He has stood in hostile stadiums, carried national expectations, and fought his way through matches that tested not just his body but his identity. He knows what it means to represent more than himself. So when he responded to GU, his brevity felt intentional. 2 words from a 24-time Grand Slam champion carry weight. They aren't filler. They aren't obligatory politeness. They are distilled experience. In those 2 words was a veteran's nod to a rising star. In those 2 words was a recognition that excellence speaks a universal language. Silence speaks loudest. In today's digital age, reactions are often inflated. A simple compliment becomes a paragraph. A minor event becomes a thread. Opinions stretch endlessly. Djokovic chose restraint. Restraint is a form of confidence. It signals that you don't need to dominate the conversation to matter within it. His response didn't attempt to compete with Gu's speech. It didn't shift focus. It simply elevated her moment. Ironically, the brevity made it more memorable. Had he written a long tribute, it might have blended into the noise. Instead, the 2-word response sparked curiosity. Fans replayed the speech. Commentators dissected the exchange. Social media lit up not because of length, but because of impact. Sometimes the echo is louder than the shout. A shared language of pressure. Both Djokovic and GU represent more than athletic prowess. They represent complexity. GU, born and raised in the United States with Chinese heritage, has navigated global scrutiny from a young age. Every choice, every competition, every endorsement has been analyzed through geopolitical lenses. Her speech acknowledged that complexity without apology. Djokovic, similarly, has spent much of his career as the outsider. In an era dominated by Roger Federer's elegance and Rafael Nadal's ferocity, Djokovic carved his space through relentless will. He endured skepticism before earning admiration. He knows what it means to stand firm in identity. When he responded with those 2 words, it felt like a bridge between journeys. Not identical journeys, but parallel ones. Both athletes understand that representing oneself on a global stage is never simple. It is layered with expectation, pride, criticism, and scrutiny. Respect. Inspiring. It was more than praise. It was solidarity. Leadership without a lecture. Leadership doesn't always require a microphone. Djokovic's response demonstrated a quiet leadership style. Amplify others. Celebrate emerging voices. Validate effort without overshadowing it. For young athletes watching, the exchange offered a subtle lesson. You can be a legend and still listen. You can be at the peak and still applaud someone else's climb. In elite sport, ego can be both fuel and barrier. Djokovic's brevity suggested maturity. At a stage in his career where he has little left to